What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, I wanted to debunk the notion that former unified three-belt WBA, WBC, IBF welterweight world champion superstar boxer Errol "The Truth" Spence Jr., who still in my book is top 10, at worst, top 12 pound-for-pound best fighters in the world. Errol "The Truth" Spence Jr. has a record of now 28 wins, 1 loss, no draws, 22 big wins by way of knockout. He is 33 years of age, 5'9.5" with a 72-inch arm reach. With that said, in order for people to make up excuses as to why they witnessed what they witnessed July 29th, Las Vegas, Nevada, T-Mobile Arena, when Errol "The Truth" Spence Jr. took on and suffered the first loss of his career in devastating fashion to now undefeated 3-division world champion, former junior welterweight undisputed world champion, currently the reigning undisputed welterweight world champion, who is widely acknowledged and recognized as the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, in Terrence "Bud" Crawford. Terrence "Bud" Crawford is 40 wins, no losses, no draws, 31 big wins by way of knockout. He is 35 years of age, 5'8" with a 74-inch arm reach. He'll be 36 years of age tomorrow. Ironically enough, Errol Spence's suspension will be lifted tomorrow. With that said, Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence, they fought in their highly anticipated mega showdown, mega undefeated, undisputed showdown. It was the most anticipated fight in the last decade. It was on paper to seem to be a 50-50 fight if there ever were one, a competitive fight. And it turned out not to be that. Errol Spence got dominated in the fight. He lost badly. He lost so badly. He won the first round, the first half of the third round, and everything in between that, he lost in dominating fashion in favor of Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford dropped him in the second round, twice in the 7th round, then stopped him in the 9th round. With that said, many people are now claiming that that version of Errol Spence was so bad, so bad, that any welterweight that he fought, including former unified WBC, WBA welterweight world champion superstar boxer Keith one-time Thurman, who is 30 wins, 1 loss, no draws, 22 wins by way of knockout. He's 34 years of age, 5'8" with a 69-inch arm reach. Keith Thurman would have beaten Errol Spence that night, okay? Also, people are stating that British undefeated welterweight superstar title contender, okay, Conor Benn. Now, these are fighters, keep in mind, that nobody would have ever favored in their right mind over Errol Spence. Competitive fights, right? But none of these fans and none of these pundits would have favored any of these fighters over Errol Spence. So Conor Benn is now 22 wins, no losses, no draws, 14 wins by way of knockout. He is 26 years of age, 5'8" with a 71-inch arm reach. And now people are also saying that undefeated Mexican superstar title contender Vergil Ortiz Jr. Now, Vergil Ortiz Jr. is a very good fighter. But now people are saying that Vergil Ortiz Jr., the version of Errol Spence, Vergil Ortiz, who's 19 wins, no loss, no draw, 19 wins by way of knockout. He is 25 years of age, 5'10" with a 70-inch arm reach. He would have beaten Errol Spence. So now Keith Thurman would have beaten Errol Spence. Vergil Ortiz would have beaten Errol Spence. Conor Benn would have beaten Errol Spence. There's only one guy that I would say could beat Errol Spence that night or any other night. And that's undefeated welterweight superstar title contender, the phenom, as I refer to him as, in JARON Boots Ennis, who is 31 wins, no loss, no draw, 28 wins by way of knockout, 26 years of age, 5'10" with a 74-inch arm reach. Vergil Ortiz Jr., okay, is not JARON Boots Ennis. Conor Benn is not JARON Boots Ennis. Keith Thurman is not JARON Boots Ennis. You are doing Errol Spence a disservice Okay? You're thinking that you're benefiting Errol Spence by making up these notions that all of these fighters would have beaten Errol Spence that night. You're doing him a disservice. You're watering down who he is, his legacy, who he is as a fighter, by saying that these fighters would have beaten Errol Spence on that night. Errol Spence, if you go back and watch the fight, is an absolute dog. Okay? Extremely high work rate, has physical power. He just was not better than the best fighter in the world in Terrence Crawford. So in trying to water down Terrence Crawford's accomplishments and who he is, you are indirectly watering down Errol Spence. Claiming that Errol Spence would have lost to Conor Benn is a slap to the face of Errol Spence. Claiming that Keith Thurman would have beaten Errol Spence is a slap to the face to Errol Spence. Claiming that Vergil Ortiz would have beaten him, well, that's a much closer fight. But nobody going into this Terrence Crawford fight would have given any of those fighters a chance to have beaten Errol Spence. Errol Spence is a great fighter. I don't care if it's that night. That night is still better than everybody else's other than Terrence Crawford and JARON Boots Ennis. He would have beaten Vergil Ortiz because of the style matchup. They don't present the same challenge and style and threat that Terrence Crawford presents. Their jab is not as good as Terrence Crawford's. They don't have the power that Terrence Crawford has. They don't have the versatility that Terrence Crawford has. They don't have the arm length, athletic ability, and strength of Terrence Bud Crawford. They don't have the durability, the ring IQ, the mindset of Terrence Crawford. And you watch the fight again, Errol Spence was landing punches on Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford was just able to absorb them. He's durable. Terrence Crawford's jab was better than Errol Spence because, well, he has a better jab. But if you look at Terrence Crawford's jab against everybody else, well, his jab is still better than everybody else's. Terrence Crawford has a better jab than Keith Thurman. He has a better jab than Vergil Ortiz. He has a better jab than Conor Benn. He has a better jab than all the other fighters outside of maybe JARON Boots Ennis, including having a better jab than Errol Spence. That control the distance, the pace of the fight. Hence why the jab is the most important punch in the sport of boxing. His ability to switch from southpaw to orthodox. He's only went the distance 3 times total since becoming a world champion in 2014. If you think that Errol Spence's third round, just watch how he came out in the first half of the third round in the first round. He would have started to broke down a Keith Thurman to the body. They would not have been able to absorb what Errol Spence was dishing out. Their jabs would not have been better than Errol Spence. They would not have been able to control the distance and the pace of the fight against Errol Spence. It's completely different. Completely different. And again, it's a slap in the face to Errol Spence and his skill set and his talent and who he is as a fighter. He lost to the best fighter in the world. He's still top 10 pound for pound. Keith Thurman nearly lost to Josito Lopez and Mario Barrios, who badly hurt him, and those guys are not even world champions. Okay? Keith Thurman nearly lost to Mario Barrios. Vergil Ortiz nearly got knocked out by Igis Kavalauskas, who Terrence Crawford knocked out. Okay, Conor Benn got popped for testing positive for performance enhancers. And now all of a sudden these guys are a better version of that version of Errol Spence. They would have all beaten Errol Spence on that night. The disdain for Terrence Crawford is so deep that you'll water down Errol Spence as a fighter, and it's disgusting. It's irresponsible. Errol Spence is a great fighter, and even that version of Errol Spence beats all of those fighters with the exception of JARON Boots Ennis, who would have beaten Errol Spence on any given day, possibly. Before the car accident, after the car accident, it doesn't even matter because JARON Boots Ennis is that talented, who could possibly beat Terrence Crawford as well. Boots Ennis is on a different level than those guys. But to say that Errol Spence would have lost to those guys is a slap in the face to Errol Spence and his career, his accomplishments, his skill set, and his talent. He might have had an off night, But all fighters had an off night. So with that said, Errol Spence would have beaten all of these fighters with the exception, again, of JARON Boots Ennis, who could possibly beat Terrence Crawford right now as well. So that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notification. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. That's all I got for y'all. I'm gone. Peace.